The Shia population in India today accounts to over 45 million, making it the world's second largest Shia population after Iran. There are many towns and villages with a majority of Shia population, and around a tenth of the overall Shia population comprising of Sayyids. Many of these Sayyids migrated to the Indian subcontinent between the 11th and 16th century to escape the persecution they were facing as direct descendants of the Prophet. My name is Imran Imam. My maternal grandfather was the last Raja of Mahmudabad, whose task was to promote cultural aspects of all religions, including Islam, in the Middle East and in the subcontinent of India. It all began from the time of the Prophet himself. History records the first movement of the Shia Muslims dates back to this period, with the merchant communities and traders journeying far and wide, some settling and bringing with them their faiths and practices. This continued after the demise of the Prophet. It has been narrated that half a century before the Hanafi Muslim conquerors of northern India arrived, their ancestors had embraced Islam at the hands of Imam Ali. Reports claim that the Imam made a covenant with them that was passed down to each ruler. We are told that they adopted the Shia faith and had love for the Ahlul Bayt deeply rooted in their hearts. Over the years, however, their descendants deviated from Shia faith and opted for Hanafi Sunni faith. Legend has it that during a visit to the northern Indian regions, Imam Ali left a handprint which can be found in modern-day Hyderabad. Whilst no formal conquest took place, some historians claim that Arab armies during the Caliphate of Imam Ali crossed the Sindh frontiers, which led to the Jats of Sindh developing a deep devotion to the Imam, some even attributing divinity to him. Such sporadic entrances continued over the decades until the initial Muslim conquests of India under the Umayyad general Muhammad ibn Qasim. He invaded Sindh and Multan following a series of attacks into Muslim territories. Couple this with centuries of trade and migration, and you have the beginnings of what would be termed a satellite state in the Deccan region of India, where the political climate in Arabia had a direct impact on these settler communities. The Shia communities, in particular, featured prominently in these migrations, particularly those of the descendants of the Prophet and his family, who were escaping continuous persecution at the hands of both the Umayyads and the Abbasides. One of the largest migrations was during the rule of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi, who oppressed and killed the Shias in large numbers. Those that could escape, particularly the Sadat, traveled towards the subcontinent.
When Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi ruled Iraq, he unleashed a reign of terror, specifically on the followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt, which prompted them to migrate and spread out. Many went to Iran, and a group among them are said to have come to India. And in fact, the raid of Muhammad ibn al-Qasim, the attack of Muhammad ibn al-Qasim on India in 711, one of the motivations for that attack is said to have been the fact that Al-Hajjaj recognized that India had become a sort of a safe haven for many of the followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt who had migrated and had settled in India.
It is said that it is during the late Umayyad and early Abbasid period itself that the Shi'is started making their entry into the region of Sindh. And it is said that one of the Hindu kings, in fact, helped them against the persecution which was taking place against the Shias, and they were sheltered here, and it was due to that King Dahar, in fact, lost his kingdom by defending the Shias who had migrated here, and these Shias who had migrated here, it is said regarding them that they were the Sayyids belonging to the family of the Ahl Bayt.
Another flashpoint in the history of migration is the year 656. This is basically the end of the Abbasid period, when Baghdad was ransacked by Hulagu and his armies. So a lot of people were massacred and slaughtered, and basically Hulagu then moved on into Iran. And as he began to gain influence there, people fled for their lives. Many of the followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt living in Iran, in Isfahan, in Shiraz, they migrated to India. So a lot of the migration that you see to India for the followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt, they were looking for a safe haven. They were looking for a place where they would be allowed to freely practice their faith as they saw it, without the fear of state-sponsored oppression.
By the 10th century, the Ismailis, an offshoot of the Shia Imamate community, established the Fatimid dynasty. There was much political rivalry between the Fatimids and the Abbasides, who sent troops to topple Multan and rule the region. The Fatimids in turn sent a delegation to Multan to seek power in the region. What is clear is that the Friday sermons that were recited in the region were in accordance to those in the Fatimid Caliphate in Cairo. We also come to know that coins were minted on the patterns of the Egyptian coins, further confirming the Shia influence within the region. It is also said that the locals assumed the Shia faith and restored Hayya ala Khair al-Amal to the call prayer. Over the next few decades, the Ismaili leadership continued to develop in the subcontinent. However, they would come under constant attack from the Ghaznavids, a Sunni dynasty of Persian descent. The Ghaznavids had no problem employing Ismailis into their political spheres, allowing them to continue practicing their faith as they pleased. This marked the beginning of the Persian entrance into their region, which again brought with it Shias from Persian lands who settled in the Deccan, Multan regions.
We come to know that in the latter Ghaznavite period, or at the time when the Ghurids make an entry into the country, when the invasions by Muizzuddin bin Sam started occurring, it was during that period that the Ismailis of Multan, they were suppressed. But before they were suppressed, we also get an information that they had their own Jama Masjid in the city of Multan, and the azan would be given from that masjid openly without any taqiyya or anything. After the formation of the Ghurid rule, that is the rule of Muizzuddin bin Sam in India, the fortunes of the Ismailis as well as the Nashiris started declining.
The Delhi Sultanate was a Muslim kingdom that stretched over large parts of the Indian subcontinent, spanning a period of 320 years. Mass migration of Muslims from various parts of the Muslim world moved to India in this period. The greatest prominence of Muslim Sultanate was during the reign of Tughlaqs, founded by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a staunch Sunni who persecuted the Shia and the Ismailis. Being firm in his belief, he administered basic Islamic laws such as jizya, which is a yearly tax, encouraging Hindus to convert to Islam, by saying that those who converted would be exempt from jizya. This led to many poor Hindus converting to Islam.
And then we hear that under Firoz Shah Tughlaq, after the Ghurids, we had the rule of the Khaljis. And after the Khaljis, there was a sort of a revolution which took place, which brought the Tughlaqs to power. And we come to know that during the Tughlaq period, especially during the reign of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, the persecution of the Shias started in right earnest in the country.
The Nizam Shahis of Ahmednagar were founded in 1490 by Ahmad Nizam ul-Mulk, a Hindu convert. During their rule, a very notable figure emerged from Shah Tahir. Shah Tahir was a Shia scholar who made a deep impression on the Nizam Shahi king Burhan Nizam Shah. After discussing various theological issues, the king arranged a polemic debate with other leading scholars. Shah Tahir successfully defeated the other scholars using their books, after which the king converted to Shia Islam. Burhan Nizam Shah then made Shiaism the state religion, and people converted in their thousands. This attracted many Shias to migrate to Ahmednagar. In time, many migrating Shias were given respected posts in the government. The longest surviving Shia who ruled the state in Deccan was that of the Quli Qutb Shahis from 1512 to 1687. When the Bahmani kingdom began to disintegrate, Quli Qutb Shah claimed independence and established Golconda as his capital. Quli Qutb Shah, the founder, was an Iranian from Turkoman tribe. As Persian, Shia observances such as Ashura were commemorated en masse. Many great scholars, poets, historians, religious divines and Sufis from Iran were invited to settle down in the kingdom. This encouraged other Shia to migrate to Golconda, the capital. Various historians have left accounts narrating the zeal of the commemorations, with mosques and Imam Bargahs built to remember Imam Hussain alayhi salam. The Qutb Shahis were known to be highly educated, patronizing further learning in the arts and sciences, attracting many members of the Persian nobility to their kingdom. The height of the Qutb Shahi dynasty was during the reign of Muhammad Quli Qutb Shah, who moved the capital to an area known as Bhavnagar, after which he changed the name of the city to Hyderabad in reverence to Imam Ali. Muhammad Quli Qutb Shah appointed Allama Mir Muhammad Mu'min as his prime minister and chief architect in planning the new city. He is most famously remembered for the Char Minar, an amazingly powerful architectural marvel that stands as another reminder of Shia rule in India. With 4 minarets, 56 meters high, it stands unique in its structure, with some commentators believing it was designed to replicate a ta'ziyah, a traditional model resembling the shrine of Imam Hussain in Karbala. With beautiful, intricate engravings, it brings together various different architectural styles that had come to be distinctive to the Quli Qutb Shahs. Inside the large dome, one finds engravings symmetrically positioned in the shape of an alam with the names of Allah, Muhammad and Ali. With all main roads leading towards the monument, one sees the architectural mastery employed by Muhammad Mir Mu'min. Adjacent to the Char Minar, one finds the Mecca Masjid. Again designed and built by Muhammad Mir Mu'min, the gigantic structure bears the hallmarks of the Quli Qutb style. It is unique in its cube-like structure resembling the Holy Kaaba itself. Painstakingly detailed, the intricate design is actually a mosaic, revealing the quintessential Iranian design prevailing in the Safavid Iran at the time. The Mughals were a powerful empire in the north of India who established their reign founded by Babur in the year 1526. Babur fought to expand his influence and territory until he turned his attention to the north of India, where the Delhi Sultanate ruled. With a reign that lasted 4 years, Babur's eldest son Humayun became the second Mughal emperor in the year 1530. With a fierce army, he expanded the territories until he came against Sher Shah Suri, who attacked the empire from Bihar in the east. After a 10-year reign, Humayun had to flee, first to Kashmir, then Kabul, then to Tabriz, the capital of the Shia Safavi Empire in Iran.
At that time, Shah Tahmasp Safavi was ruling Iran, and he received Humayun with great warmth, and also not only warmth, but he promised that he would be helping Humayun to get back his kingdom. Humayun stayed there for about 12 years, and it was during that period that the impact and the influence of Shia culture could be seen on Humayun's mind, and there were so many things which Humayun learned from Iran.
Retaking Delhi, the Mughal kingdom had restored its capital. However, Humayun did not live to enjoy his success long after. He died and was succeeded by his son Akbar from his wife Hamida Banu, a Persian Shia. With Akbar only 12 years of age, Bayram Khan was appointed to be the king's regent.
When Akbar took over, then Bayram Khan was the teacher and was the guardian or was the regent of Akbar. At that time, again, we see that lot of Irani influence is there, and people from Iran came here, settled down in all walks of life.
Bayram Khan commanded the Mughal forces in the Second Battle of Panipat when Himu, a Hindu emperor from north, thought it opportune to retake Delhi after the death of Humayun. With an inferior army, Bayram Khan outwitted Himu, whose army of elephants couldn't break through the Mughal defenses.
And Himu was defeated, arrested, and brought before Akbar. Akbar refused to assassinate him, to kill him, but Bayram Khan did. And Himu was killed by Bayram Khan. So we see that in all the stages, the impact of Shia help and Shia support is there in the Mughal Empire. The support of Ali Quli Khan Shibani, the support of Bayram Khan, and the support of so many other eminent generals, and also the presence of so many eminent Shias in the court of Akbar is a clear proof that the Mughal Empire owed its existence due to the support of Shia community.
During the period of Akbar, we find that the Shias actually started coming into their own. It was during the reign of Akbar that a large number of Iranian migrants, not only nobles from Iran, but also merchant communities started migrating from the Safavid lands, and they started gravitating towards the Mughal court.
Akbar's reign, actually, you get a lot of idea of the importance of Shiism, and because it was a moment where Akbar was trying to engage in what we now crudely call interfaith or intrafaith also, and he's very famous and also much maligned for coming up with something called the Din-e-Ilahi, which is his effort to create a syncretic religion.
The aptitude and ability of the Shia during the Mughal period was further epitomized by Qazi Nurullah Shustari, also known as Shahid Salis. His story becomes an integral part of the Shia narrative in India as we know today.
It was in 1585 that Qazi Nurullah Shustari, who belonged to a family of Marathi, theological family, migrated to India. He came to Fatehpur Sikri, joined the court of Akbar. Akbar at this moment of time appointed him to go to Kashmir and carry out, economic and social surveys out there, as I have already pointed out.
The brilliance of Qazi Nurullah was his ability to give judgments based on Shia fiqh, while providing Sunni justification for them.
What we come to know is that this was the period when the Shia theologians started openly professing their faith as well as writing books on Shiism. In fact, Qazi Nurullah Shustari wrote Ihqaqul Haq, which was a counter to a large number of works which had been written as allegations against the Shi'i philosophy. We can say that Qazi Nurullah Shustari's works were the first in the Indian subcontinent which were taking cognizance of the attacks on Shiism. In fact, Qazi Nurullah Shustari goes on to argue that there is no place as good as Hindustan to profess the faith of Shiism in India.
In his time away from office, Qazi Nurullah would be busy writing religious works and soon became synonymous with polemical text defending Shia Islam. The 16th century became a time when sectarian polemical discourse had reached a peak, where works written against Shiaism were becoming widespread throughout the Muslim lands. These books were making their way to India, where the pressure on Shia community was growing. After 2 years in India, Qazi Nurullah had become a leading figure in the Shia community. When Akbar passed away and Jahangir ascended the throne, the climate changed slightly. Many of the prominent Persian Shias who held sway in Akbar's court had either passed away or had resettled elsewhere, likely in the Deccan, where Shias were taking control and ruling independently. In such a climate, the Orthodox Sunnis were becoming increasingly prominent and influential, pressurizing Jahangir's senior nobles. Qazi Nurullah, who had a senior post, was targeted by the orthodoxy, who would frequently circulate his polemical writings in support of the Shia.
But then there is one aspect which I would like to share with you, that throughout the Mughal period, although there was this freedom for the Shias as expressed by Qazi Nurullah Shustari, but no Mughal source speaks about the Shi'i rituals and practices taking place in India. In fact, there is no mention of commemoration of Muharram, no mention of Matam or Majalis or Taziyah. No source, neither from Akbar's period, nor Jahangir's period, nor Shah Jahan's period. But if you read the accounts left behind by the European travelers or by some Central Asian travelers who came to the Mughal Empire, from their accounts it appears that in the Mughal period, the Shia rituals were very popular.
The presence of so many eminent Shias in the court of Akbar is a clear proof that the Mughal Empire owed its existence due to the support of Shia community.
Qazi Nurullah was executed by flogging in 1610 at the age of 70. Although it is unclear as to the exact reason behind his execution, many speculations and reports have been made. The earliest account that relates the death of Qadi Nurullah belongs to Taqi Awadi al-Isfahani in his Dictionary of Poets. He says Qadi Nurullah was executed in the early part of Jahangir's reign because he was a famous Shia. A later account states that the execution was for his polemical work, Ahqaqul Haq, which defended Shia Islam. It has been narrated that Ahqaqul Haq was presented as evidence against him, and he was declared a heretic. Ahqaqul Haq would have borne Qazi Nurullah a number of enemies from the Sunni Orthodox who would have plotted against him. We know their influence grew after the death of Akbar, and they could have convinced Jahangir that Ahqaqul Haq was a text that had divided the community, sowing seeds of enmity and disunity.
Now in Zakhiratul Qawaneen, the author of which is Sheikh Farid Bhakkari, he gives a notice on Qazi Nurullah Shustari. Qazi Nurullah Shustari, when he discusses his death, it just mentions Dar Ghazabe Jahangiri Kushtashud, that he died due to the ire of the Emperor Jahangir. He fails to mention what was the reason. Why did Jahangir get angry? Now, the Naqshbandi sources of Mujaddid al-Fasani, Sheikh Ahmad Sarindi, his followers, they started claiming that it was due to their influence that Qazi Nurullah was executed.
Despite his execution, Qazi Nurullah goes down in history of Shias as one of the most prominent figures who defended the faith like none other, who had a significant influence on the ruling elite. To be given the position of judge is another testament to Qazi Nurullah's aptitude and ability. To have risen to such a position after only 2 years in the country. Without a doubt, he is seen as the most prominent Shia cleric who moved to India and made extraordinary strides in the spread of the religion. The wife of Jahangir, Nur Jahan, was a key Shia figure during the reign of the Mughals. Nur Jahan was a strong, charismatic, well-educated woman who dominated their relationship. She became the most powerful and influential woman at the court for over 15 years when the Mughal Empire was at the peak of its power and glory. Another Shia empress who goes down in history is Mumtaz Mahal, the wife of Shah Jahan, the Mughal emperor. The emperor loved his wife so much that upon her passing, he commissioned the Shia Persian architect Ustad Ahmad Lahori to construct a tomb over her grave, a construction that took 21 years to build. This decorated empress has become a universally admired masterpiece of the world heritage. The son of Mumtaz Mahal, Aurangzeb took over from his father. He was distinctly Sunni with orthodox tendencies, unlike his brothers and forefathers. Aurangzeb banned Shia rituals and practices commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hussain. Aurangzeb was responsible for deaths of many Shias living in the Deccan Sultanate when he overthrew the Bijapur Sultanate. Similarly, he set his sights on Golconda and the Shia Qutb Shahis, affecting the fortunes of the Shias in that period. The spread of Shiism was cultivated by the influence of Sufi saints who preached about the Imams and their merits. With the history evolving over 1,000 years in India, it is said that mystic traditions became widely visible during the 10th century of the Delhi Sultanate. More prominent Sufi saints emerged in the 12th century, with people like Muinuddin Chishti moving to India during this period. Muinuddin Chishti was the founder of the Chishti order and a direct descendant of the Prophet. He normalized the superiority of the Ahlul Bayt and was particularly influential in converting Hindus to Islam. Muinuddin Chishti is buried in what is known as Ajmer today. His shrine, the Ajmer Sharif Dargah, is situated at the foot of the Taragarh hill, consisting of several white marble buildings arranged around 2 courtyards. It is estimated that around 125,000 pilgrims visit the site every day. The Emperor Akbar was a devoted follower of Sheikh Muinuddin Chishti, whose tomb he visited on foot every year. When his wife, Jodhabai, was pregnant with Jahangir, he sent her to live in the Zawiya of Sheikh Salim Chishti, and then naming his son Salim upon birth after the noble saint.
Emperor Akbar, he was illiterate. But when people recited the poetry of Rumi, he used to cry. So it was really the poetry of Ishq that appealed to him. And he told his people that if you want to become better human beings, you have to read Rumi, So people like Rumi and people like Khusro also, he blended the Indian idiom with the Persian idiom, and he blended the various forms of music, and created his own rag and ragnis, The idea was to unite people. The idea was to connect them with the beloved, And they started this whole concept of Mehfil-e-Sama, Sheikh Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti, and they brought this whole concept of Sama. Now, Sama means divine music, listening or celebrating the presence of God.
Many Persian Sufis entered India during the 16th century. This continued until the Nawabi rule, where Sufism had become quite prominent. Stimulating Indian Islam through the influence of poetry, art, literature, the Sufi provided a way for Islam to build religion and cultural bridges with Indians.
After the Safavi times, you must remember also at the beginning of the 17th century, the Safavis were at war with the Ottomans, and when that war finished, Shah Abbas actually waged war for Kandahar against the Mughals. And at that point, once that war finished and we come into the late 17th and 18th centuries, there was a gradual inflow of noblemen, of poets and others into North India, and that was really a period when Shiism became more pronounced, let's say. And for instance, from Nishapur, the Nawabs of Awadh came and settled here, who were initially governors of the Mughals, and then they declared their independence.
The Nawabs were very, very, very tolerant, and they enjoyed the pluralism of this situation, which has never been the case in the country. There have been, maybe Akbar's time was a very good time when different communities coexisted in harmony, but I think Awadh was a very remarkable example of coexistence, and I think to a great extent even the Sufis brought this whole sense of coexistence, and people like Asfuddollah and particularly Wajid Ali Shah was a very, very endearing character. I think every community loved him.
In the early 18th century, the Nawab Nazims of Bengal arose as influential Shia figures in Hyderabad and Awadh. They were known for their kindness and generosity towards the Shia community and wider Indian community. An important figure during rule of the Nawabs of Bengal was Mirza Muhammad Siraj-ud-Dawla, who built the old Nizamat Imambara. He is said to have bought bricks and mortar and laid foundations of the buildings with his own hands. The old Medina Mosque, which still stands today near the Big Ben of Murshidabad, was built on a plot that was dug to a depth of 6 feet and refilled with the soil brought from Mecca, so that the poor members of the Muslim community could have an experience of Hajj. When old Nizamat Imambara caught fire, Nawab Nazim Mansur Ali Khan built the present Nizamat Imambara, also widely known as the biggest Imambara in India and Bengal. Today, Nizamat Imambara is an impressive piece of architecture, being 680 feet long. It stands opposite the Hazardwari Palace, situated just on the banks of Bhagirathi River.
When Mansur Ali Khan Safdarjung died in 1754, Nawab Shia became the king. He was very powerful. He was extremely powerful, and he was very much busy in expanding his province and taking care from the opponents who were invading Awadh, such as the Marathas and others. About Nawab Shia, you may consider that during Muharram, he used to go along with the alams and taziyas to the battlefields also. And for 10 days, that battle was stopped and majalis were held in the camps on the battlefield.
The greatest impact on the development of Shiism in the subcontinent was made by 135 years of Shia rule in Awadh. The founder of the dynasty, Mir Muhammad Amin, also known as Burhanul Mulk, was a devout Shia who spent large sums for construction of Imam Bargahs and mosques, as well as the ceremonies of Muharram. A famous construction during this period was Jama Masjid of Lucknow, which is known to be one of the most beautiful mosques of India. The Nawabs of Awadh made large efforts to promote Azardari, the results of which you can find in Lucknow in the form of replicas for almost every holy Shia shrine. The idea of building the shrines was to give an easy access to those people who are unable to visit the original shrines in the Middle East region. In the ambition to establish a Shia state modeled on Safavid kingdom of Iran, there were great promoters of a new ulama class following the rationalist Usuli school of fiqh. Shia Friday congregational prayers were established in Lucknow, where many Shias today still congregate in large numbers for Salah every Friday at Jama Masjid. The leading Shia ulama of Lucknow grew immensely wealthy through official salaries and the collection and redistributions of khums and zakat. They reached the peak of their influence under Amjad Ali Shah, who established a Shia judiciary and founded the first exclusively Shia seminary of importance known as Madrasa Shahi.
तय हुआ कि जनाब मुहर्रम आपको तालीम के लिए इराक़ भेजा जाए और वो यहाँ से इराक़ भेज दिए गए। वो वहाँ से पढ़ लिख कर जब वापस आए इस लखनऊ में, तो उन्होंने आने के बाद यहाँ पर तालीम की बुनियाद डाली। पहले नमाज जुमा वो यहाँ शुरू हुई।
The 19th century was a period where Shiism was thriving not only because of the Nawabs, but due to the patronage of the Nizams who had set up seminaries like Nizamiya Madrasa. One of the oldest existing seminaries today in Lucknow, where it is said that leading Shia scholars like Mir Hamid Hussain emerged. Mir Hamid Hussain is famously recognized in the theological and jurisprudential world for his Abaqatul Anwar, a comprehensive book written on the topic of Wilaya.
यहाँ एक किताब लिखी गई थी तोहफा इस्ना शरिया, जिसमें शिया मज़हब को रद्द किया गया था। उसके जवाब बहुत लिखे गए। मेरे दादा के दादा ने शावार क़ुदूस लिखी मुफ्ती सैयद मोहम्मद कुली खान साहब ने, उनके बेटे हामिद हुसैन साहब ने उसके जवाब में उसी के बाद अबक़ातुल अनवार लिखी, जो बहुत ज़्यादा मशहूर हुई और विलायत अली इब्न अबी तालिब के सिलसिले में सबसे बड़ी सोर्स बुक मानी जाती है।
As well as Nazimiya Madrasa, there are other significant hawzas that have contributed to Shia theology, such as Jawadiya and Imamiya hawzas in Varanasi. Parallel to the hawzas, Nawabs of Awadh, particularly Asif ud-Dawla and Amjad Ali Shah, also encouraged the establishment of Imam Bargahs, where Muharram ceremonies were held. Composition and recitation of Marsiya reached its zenith in Lucknow. A Marsiya is a composition in poetic form of around 100 stanzas and is recited or sung as a lament. It is an elegiac poem written to commemorate suffering, valor, courage, and martyrdom of the Prophet's daughter's son, Hussein ibn Ali, and his companions at Karbala in 61 after Hijrah. Mir Babar Ali Anis emerged as the most prominent Marsiya poet in Awadh, and his reputation reached Bihar and Hyderabad Deccan.
Nawab Asif ud-Dawla, he was the main mentor as far as the Lucknow is concerned, and the spreading of Shiaism amongst different sections of society and different communities, different religions. Nawab Asif ud-Dawla died in 1797. Then his son, Nawab Wazir Ali, became the Nawab, the fifth Nawab of Awadh. He was deposed after 4 months because he had shot a British officer. Then his co-brother, the son of Nawab Shia of India, he became the sixth Nawab of Awadh. His name was Nawab Saadat Ali Khan. He ruled for 17 years till 1814, and after his death, his son, Ghaziuddin Haider, became the seventh Nawab. He has built this Shah Najaf, Shabi Shah Najaf, the beautiful mausoleum of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. In between, it so happened that when Ghaziuddin Haider became the Nawab in 1814, and he ruled as a Nawab in the province of Awadh, but the East India Company and the officers of the East India Company played a game, that in 1819, the same Nawab was made the king of Awadh. The province was turned into the kingdom, and the Nawab becomes the king. The Masnad was replaced by a throne, and the dastar was replaced by the crown. So this was with the intention to weaken the Mughal Empire further. But the Nawabs and the kings of Awadh, they were very loyal to the Mughal kings, and they did not become the foe or the enemy. Nasiruddin Haider became the Nawab in 1827. He built a Karbala Shah Nasiruddin Haider, which is supposed to be the biggest Karbala of India.
The Rohilla state of Rampur was established by Nawab Faizullah Khan in 1774. But a key figure during the reign of the Nawabs of Rampur was Nawab Kalbe Ali Khan, who was literate in Arabic and Persian. Under his rule, the state did much to uplift standards of education. He is also known for building the Jama Masjid in Rampur at the cost of 300,000 rupees, a structure made of Muslim and Hindu elements, standing upright on 260 pillars that support 15 arched domes of different elevations. The domes are intricately designed and ornamented and are no less than architectural splendor. Nawab Hamid Ali became the new ruler in 1889 at the age of 14. Many new schools were opened during his reign, and lots of donations were provided to nearby colleges. He donated 50,000 rupees to Lucknow Medical College, and in 1905 he built the magnificent Darbar Hall within the fort, which now houses the great collection of rare manuscripts held by the Rampur Raza Library. According to the Raza Library, one of its richest and finest collections are the early 7th century Qurans that are said to have been handwritten by Imam Ali alayhi salam himself. Raza Ali Khan became the last ruling Nawab in 1930. On 1st of July 1949, the state of Rampur was merged into the Republic of India. Rampur today presents a slightly decayed appearance. The palaces of the Nawabs are crumbling, as are the gates and walls of the fort. However, the library remains a flourishing institution of immense value to scholars from all over the world. Lucknow remained the religious and intellectual center of Indian Shiaism throughout the British era and beyond. Although many notables and ulama of Awadh had participated in the 1857-58 anti-British revolt, they were quick to respond to British attempts at reconciliation after their defeat. A number of Shia taluqadars kept large land holdings in the former Awadh kingdom, and patronage to Shia ulama and institutions continued after 1858, albeit on a smaller scale. The 2 decades after 1858 proved especially ruinous for Shiism in North India, especially in the city of Lucknow, the former Nawabi capital. The city's largest Shia mosque, the Asifi Masjid, and the adjoining Asif-ud-Dawla Imambara, Lucknow's most imposing religious buildings, were converted into British military garrisons. Over 50 other city mosques were appropriated to uses including offices, police depots, medical dispensaries, and stables for livestock. New land settlement policies, rewritten in 1858 around principles of perceived loyalty to the British Raj, shut off stipends of inherited land revenue on which many noble Shia families and religious scholars had depended. Visits to India by Arab and Persian scholars, artists, physicians, commonplace under the Nawabs, became less so, while the profile of Indian ulama in Shia clerical centers such as Najaf reciprocally dried up. There was a diminishment in funding, and the 2 to 3 decades after 1857 were an era of weakness and disorder for Indian Shiaism.
Obviously, the tables have reversed now and the centers of power have shifted. But the British played a very pernicious role in mediating this exchange of money and patronage, because they tried to obviously insert themselves and use these networks which had existed for decades and centuries to their own ends. And I think that's yet another way in which they kind of intervened and created problems.
After partition of India in 1947, 2/3 of Muslims resided in Pakistan, both East and West Pakistan, but a third resided in India. The partition included the geographical division of the Bengal province into East Bengal, which became part of the Dominion of Pakistan. West Bengal became a part of India, and a similar partition of the Punjab province became West Punjab and East Punjab. The partition brought with it religious fury, violence, causing deaths of 2 million Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs, with an estimated 12 to 15 million people forcibly transferred between the states of India and Pakistan. Under new and inexperienced government, poverty and overpopulation grew out of control.
देखिए, आज़ादी के बाद जो है वो ज़मींदारी जो ख़त्म कर दी गई, तो शिया बहुत बड़े बड़े ज़मींदार थे और उनसे मदरसे जुड़े हुए थे, उससे जो इल्मी खानवादे थे उनसे जुड़े हुए थे। जब जमींदारी खत्म हो गई तो एकदम से गरीबी आ गई, एकदम से पॉवर्टी आ गई, जिसकी वजह से शियों को बहुत बड़ा नुकसान पहुंचा, बहुत बड़ा नुकसान पहुंचा है, जिसकी वजह से मदरसे हमारे बहुत से ख़त्म हो गए। इसी तरह से वो उलमा की सपोर्ट करते थे, जिसकी वजह से उलमा की तादाद भी कम हो गई, क्योंकि उनकी सपोर्ट जो थी वो ख़त्म हो गई। और उसके बाद जो हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान में बंटवारा हुआ तो बहुत से उलमा हमारे पाकिस्तान चले गए, बहुत से जो अच्छे लोग थे वहाँ चले गए, तो उससे भी शियों को बहुत बड़ा नुकसान पहुँचा इस बंटवारे के बाद भी। और उसके बाद सबसे ज़्यादा जो नुकसान पहुँचा है वो ये ज़मींदारी एबोलिशन एक्ट के तहत, कि इसमें ज़मींदारी ख़त्म करके उन्होंने जो है जिसमें बड़े बड़े जो ज़मींदार थे बेचारे बिल्कुल फ़कीर हो गए, बड़े बड़े नवाब जो थे वो बिल्कुल ही फ़कीर हो गए, जिसकी वजह से शीयत को बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान पहुँचा है। और क्योंकि उनकी तादाद कम है, माइनॉरिटी विद इन माइनॉरिटी है, जिसकी वजह से वोट्स भी उनके कम हैं। और आपको मालूम है कि डेमोक्रेसी में जो पॉलिटिक्स होती है वो वोट बेस्ड होती है, कि जिसके वोट ज़्यादा होते हैं उसी को सब कुछ मिलता है। लिहाजा शियों को उसके बाद नुकसान पहुंचता रहा और डाउनफॉल होता रहा, बहुत ज़्यादा डाउनफॉल हुआ शियों का।
Come 1947 and the independence of India, the creation of Pakistan, one of the sad things that happened was, sad for us, is that a number of people from this region migrated to Pakistan, and they tended to be from the elite. And what I mean by elite is not a class elite, but an intellectual elite also. So poets, lawyers, engineers, doctors, and so on, they all went to Pakistan and to Karachi in particular. And that left a vacuum here. Some families stayed back. My grandmother stayed here and my father stayed in India. But the families were few and far between, and because culture, obviously, to this day, whether it's Western culture or aspects of modern art and so on, all these things require patronage. And what happened with the colonial period and then the post-colonial period after independence was that old structures of patronage disappeared. And so a lot of the arts, a lot of the skills, a lot of the literature, a lot of the people who were keeping these things alive were often made to for example, push a rickshaw for a living, or to do manual work and so on, because that patronage had gone. And so obviously colonialism and deeply affected communities in India. And in one aspect in particular, though I don't want to emphasize this, because they control the economy and they control politics, they were also able to, in certain senses, create sectarian problems between the Sunnis and Shias.
The 45 million Shias in India today make up roughly 4% of the entire population. Access to education and poverty are amongst the many widespread issues today. There are innumerable organizations in India aiming to help the community, amongst which charity-funded orphanages play a vital role in providing care, housing and education to destitute children. There are also many Shia schools in India, as well as colleges that have been established to help the poor families, while providing religious education in an Islamic environment. Their focus is to provide Shia students with the provision of stable infrastructural facilities and a high level of education through adequate and qualitative teaching. A unique institute in India today is the Aligarh University, which has one of the oldest departments of Shia theology. The Department of Shia Theology at Aligarh University is the only specialized center of Shia studies in India and is held in high esteem not only in India but also in Iran, Iraq and other countries. Unique like no other non-Muslim country in the world today, large number of people from different faiths and backgrounds culminate in this ethnic melting pot where each faith and creed contributes to the culture and fabric of society. This becomes distinctly evident when visiting the replica shrines, Imam Bargahs, Ashur Khanas, Hussainiyas up and down the country. The colors, symbolism, and visual manifestations are integral. The alams and taziyas of replica shrines are everywhere, allowing a distinct sensual relationship between the devotee and the place of worship. This dynamic is seen in other temples, dargahs and places of worship from different religions, within the country. Just like a Hindu who visits his or her temple, lights an incense stick and makes an offering while focusing their prayer on a statue, you would find people visiting Imam Bargahs behaving in a very similar way. Despite that, Ashura is a national holiday where no trading or teaching is undertaken. Hindu, Sikhs, Buddhists, Sunnis, and even those of no faith commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussain in all its passion and reverence.
शियों के ताल्लुकात जो दूसरे मजहब के लोग हैं उनसे बहुत अच्छे हैं, ख़ास तौर से अज़ादारी की वजह से, क्योंकि अज़ादारी में इतना अट्रैक्शन है कि जिसकी वजह से हिंदू भी हमारे पास आते हैं, सिख भी आते हैं, दूसरे लोग भी आते हैं। लेकिन सिर्फ एक सेक्ट है जिससे ज़्यादा हमारी लड़ाई रहती है, वो है वहाबी सेक्ट। क्योंकि वहाबी सेक्ट जो है वो अगेंस्ट है अज़ादारी की, तो वो कभी कभी रोकने की कोशिश करते हैं। कभी इसलिए लखनऊ में जो एक मरतबा यहाँ पर जो बैन लग गया था और जिसकी वजह से हमें बहुत मरतबा जेल जाना पड़ा और एजिटेशन करना पड़ा, तो वही वहाबी सेक्ट की वजह से उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट ने बैन लगा दिया था। तो तकरीबन 20 साल तक बैन लगा रहा हूँ। 20 साल में हम लोग 20 बार जेल गए होंगे। आप खुद गए थे, जेल गए। एक तो पहली वजह तो यह है कि यहाँ मशहूर यह है वहाँ भी कि इमाम हुसैन इस्लाम ने फरमाया था वहाँ पर कि मुझे हिंदुस्तान जाने दो, वहाँ मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी गुजारना चाहता हूँ। तो यहाँ हिंदुओं में मशहूर है कि इमाम हुसैन ने कहा था मैं हिंदुस्तान आना चाहता हूँ। हाँ हिंदुस्तान आना चाहता हूँ, इसलिए कि उनको अट्रैक्शन पैदा हुआ कि इसके मतलब अपना मुल्क छोड़ के वो आज से 1300 साल पहले वो हिंदुस्तान आने की उन्होंने तमन्ना की थी। दूसरी चीज़ है कि यहाँ भी ये भी मशहूर है कि कुछ हिंदू हजरात भी वहाँ गए थे करबला में इमाम हुसैन की मदद के लिए। यहाँ पर एक सेक्ट है हुसैनी ब्राह्मण। वो कहते हैं कि हमारे जो फोर फादर्स थे वो करबला गए थे इमाम हुसैन की मदद करने के लिए। तो इसका मतलब एक रिलेशन है करबला से और इंडिया का रिलेशन है, जिसकी वजह से हिंदू राजा जो हैं वो भी मुहर्रम मनाते थे। बनारस के हिंदू राजा वो मुहर्रम मनाते थे, ग्वालियर के हिंदू राजा वो मुहर्रम मनाता था, इंदौर के हिंदू राजा वो मुहर्रम मनाते थे, झांसी की रानी मुहर्रम मनाती थी। कोई वहाँ पर मुसलमानों का वहाँ पर गुजर ही नहीं, उसके बाद भी वो मुहर्रम मनता। आज भी 5 मुहर्रम को उनका झांसी रानी का ताजिया उठता है वहाँ से, उनके महल से। कोई उनको मतलब शियों से कोई रिलेशन नहीं था, लेकिन कि ये चीज़ें पहुँची जिसकी वजह से उनको एक अट्रैक्शन पैदा हुआ इमाम हुसैन से, और ख़ास तौर से वहाँ के जो ट्रेजिक इवेंट्स थे इसकी वजह से यहाँ के लोग मुतासिर हुए उससे, जिसकी वजह से हिंदू बड़ी तादाद में आज भी मुहर्रम मनाते हैं।
It is quite clear that over time the society, its cultures and its norms have rubbed off on the migrating nations and their rituals. But what's unique is the way in which the indigenous faith groups also come to the Shia replica shrines and Imam Baras to pray and worship in the name of the Imam. Now heed what happened on that awesome day of martyrdom, what grief and sorrow and what tribulations then befell. Those thirsty, starving, steadfast souls devoted thus to God, who sacrificed their precious lives in service to His cause. Each one of them was such a faithful friend without power. There never will be such a Lord, nor ever followers such. माजरा सुबह शहादत का बयां करता हूँ, रंजो अंदोहो मुसीबत का बयां करता हूँ, तशनकामों की इबादत का बयां करता हूँ, जानसारों की इताअत का बयां करता हूँ, जिनका हमता नहीं एक एक मुसाहिब ऐसा, ऐसे बंदे न कभी होंगे न साहब ऐसा।